Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blog on Everything, and welcome back to the channel and also to the podcast. It's been a minute since we've done anything like podcastly appropriate in terms of length, because honestly speaking, since the collapse of Google Podcasts, it's been a bit difficult to figure out how to put the podcast out there, and it's just been a lot of work, and I didn't have the time for it. But hopefully this can keep going. Maybe I can build up some kind of rhythm. Recenter myself, and I mean, probably it helps that the team is playing so well. So you want to talk about them. You want to find an excuse, and also really in this moment in time, there's no match until like Sunday night. So between now and Sunday, all I have to do is basically just take in still the glory of the past, week. Barcelona just had, beating Bayern Munich, beating Real Madrid, scoring 4 goals in both games, only conceding one, and, just basically taking everything Real Madrid had in their pockets. It's like we walked into their house, robbed them of everything, including what they had in their pockets. Because, they had that 42 match unbeaten streak. We ended that. They had all this joy and all this excitement from that comeback against Borussia Dortmund. We ended that. You know, all of these things, they had that excitement about, going up against Barcelona's high line and all these things they were going to do to us. And, we, we stomped on all of that. And, that's just coming in addition to Hansi Flick, avenging Barcelona for the defeat he inflicted on them with Bayern Munich. That was just like, getting revenge on himself. Hansi Flick is just a legend for that alone. And, it's really just been a lot of good vibes the past couple of days. And then yesterday happened. Yeah, yesterday, the whole Ballon d'Or thing. Because, it felt like a cold moment when Vinicius Jr. did the whole, well, on Monday, I'm going to win the Ballon d'Or thing to Gavi when Gavi was mocking him for conceding for kind of like, Finney did in that Super Cup. We all remember that. And getting the news round about midday where I live that it's not going to happen, that Real Madrid were not traveling to Paris. And honestly speaking, it's been too good. All right. The amount of Madridista tears that have been in my feeds, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, wherever else that I go, real life, group chats, the amount of Madridistas just completely catching the biggest L that they have ever experienced. Because, so many of these guys are glory chasers. They were not here in the days of, Juan de Ramos at Real Madrid. They were not here. Okay, they started supporting Real Madrid probably just after the pandemic. And, all they've known is, Benzema Ballon d'Ors, Vinicius scoring in Champions League finals, and Real Madrid winning a lot. So losing to this extent, not just losing to Barca, losing 4-0 at home, and then losing in this vote to somebody like Rodri, who they felt was undeserving, who they felt didn't even need to be in the conversation, which for me, that's absolutely crazy, by the way, because from where did they get this, this hubris to think that this year's Ballon d'Or was just destined to go to a Real Madrid player? Like, who told them that? Where did they get that idea? I'll tell you where they got that idea. From the one thing that during these past 4 or 5 years, especially, Real Madrid has really stepped up and have been really doing this at an elite level. And it's non-football related. It has everything to do with their propaganda machine, because I'm sure we're all familiar with those Twitter accounts like Madrid Zone and, Madrid Extra. There are accounts that always somehow manage to get exclusive news to do with Real Madrid, and it's usually accurate stuff. Yeah, those are obviously just set up by Real Madrid, the accounts that they can use to tweet the things that they want to tweet, but don't think they should tweet from their official Twitter account. So, this is basically their Twitter burner accounts, all right? And they just be doing the most with these. And so we saw yesterday all of these posts we were seeing regarding, why Vinicius Jr. should have won, and the putting down a whole list of accolades. And honestly, for me, I don't understand what Real Madrid fans don't seem to get about why Vinicius didn't win that Ballon d'Or, especially non-Real Madrid fans, just, random Vinicius sympathizers, guys who support teams like Chelsea or Man United or whatever, the guys who just want to hop on the bandwagon. You of all people should know that Vinicius Jr. is, to be generous, an unbearable human being on the pitch. Okay, I'm not going to talk about him off the pitch. I don't know what his private life is like, but on the pitch, he's as unbearable as they can come. We all remember his antics just last season in the Champions League, against Leipzig, against Bayern Munich. You remember the whole time-wasting shenanigans thing he was doing with Kimmich. Yeah, we remember all of that. And this isn't just, if he was just like, a shithouser, like Emi Martinez is, if he was just like, one of those guys, it wouldn't be a problem for me. But it's that he always goes to extreme lengths, which usually involve a lot of, physicality, physical altercations. Like I remember this one time he had Frankie de Jong in a headlock during an El Clasico for just Frankie trying to take the ball off of him, which, that's crazy, but it did happen. And generally speaking, if you're going to be in a situation where you need people to vote for you in order to win, in order to be recognized, you might want to at least invest in treating people in a way that they're not going to leave the pitch thinking that they absolutely hate your guts. I mean, how many players do you know that have got Pedri of all people, to lose his mind and start talking trash on the pitch? We're talking about Pedri, guys. This guy, that's the kind of person that he is. If I could compare him to another player, in fact, as a Barca fan, I think I'm very qualified to say this. Vinicius Jr. is, in terms of his image, he is the new Luis Suarez. And hear me out, okay? On the pitch, both very talented individuals, both capable of doing things that other players can't even start to imagine being able to do. That's how talented these guys are. But there's the dark side to them, right? Biting people and, for Suarez going as far as, even using racial slurs towards people. Yeah, that kind of disgusting. And, I'm not going to say Vinicius is that bad, because the guy has himself been a victim of, racial abuse and all of that, which I feel is completely unnecessary. It's never called for to treat somebody that way, even if they are a bit of, for lack of a better term, a prick. But, like I said, Vinicius is very much like the new Suarez in that he goes to certain lengths that are absolutely unnecessary to try and get underneath people's skins. And it doesn't really work to that effect. All it does is make people want to see him fail more. He's just less likable for it. And when it comes to something like a popularity contest, guess what's going to happen if the guy who invests his time being unlikable decides he wants people to like him? Now, if Real Madrid are really upset that one of their players didn't win this, then I think they should look in the mirror again, because they are more to blame for Vinicius not winning that Ballon d'Or than even, say, Vinicius with his antics on the pitch and his negative image that he might have. Why do I say this? Because for the first half of last season, from just about September, who's the one guy who Real Madrid's, you know, propaganda Twitter accounts and just Twitter, who's the one guy they kept on hyping? Huh? Who are they always showing us pictures of him like, because he was scoring clutch goals for them. The first half of the season, Madrid's propaganda for the Ballon d'Or was completely about Jude Bellingham. That's who they put as the guy up there, Jude Bellingham. And it wasn't until maybe about March or April that we started to hear Vinicius, and that was because, Jude's goals dried up. I mean, in 2024, if I'm not mistaken, his first goal came in El Clasico, which of course, clutch moment, yes, but that El Clasico was played in April. So that's how late into the year, that's how long he went without scoring. And I guess Madrid decided to abandon hyping him up for the Ballon d'Or and then to hype up Vinicius. But then the thing they forgot to account for is that Brazil really sucks at the moment. And honestly speaking, if they had kept on backing Bellingham, even through the Euros, and they put this whole propaganda machine behind him, the one that they've been using for Vinicius, I think Jude Bellingham would have probably won that award. He would have edged Rodri. And you could even argue that if Bellingham probably wasn't in the equation, then Vinicius would have won pretty clear over Rodri, simply because everybody who had voted Bellingham would have most likely chosen Vinicius rather than Rodri. And ultimately, it's just Real Madrid split the votes. They ended up taking up too many votes with Bellingham, too many votes with Vinicius, and, a few as well with Mbappe, to the point where, neither one of them could amass enough to get more than what Rodri was going to obviously get from, everybody in the British media and everybody in, I think, the Spanish media as well, because let's not pretend like the Spanish media are fans of Vinicius, right? We all know why they do not like him. Yeah. We all know the complicated situation in Spain. So, there's that as well. But just, like I said, Real Madrid as well are to blame. But hey, they feel like they're so entitled to their player having won the Ballon d'Or this year, again, for reasons we do not know. But that's what they felt their entitlement was. So when it didn't come to fruition, they just absolutely lost their mind. So, that has led to quite the outpouring and just quite the cacophony of crybabies on timelines, in Twitter, on YouTube. And at the end of the day, I don't think any of these guys are stopping to ask themselves, like, guys, is this really the kind of season you want to complain this much about? Like, just for a moment, okay, look at the stats, all right? Like, are these really the stats you are going to be crashing out over? Like, seriously speaking. And, everybody keeps sweeping that under the rug by saying things like, yeah, well, there was times when Messi didn't perform at Copa America, but he still won the Ballon d'Or. There were times when Ronaldo didn't win trophies with Portugal. Same with Messi, but they still won the Ballon d'Or. But it's like, you're talking about Ronaldo and Messi. What were their numbers looking like? These are guys who, at a minimum, were getting like 40 goals in a season. Minimum. This guy hasn't even hit 40 goals and assists. He's at like 37 goals and assists for the entire season. What was it? 15 goals in La Liga, 4 assists. Or was it 5 assists? Yeah, 15 goals, 5 assists. Like, this isn't, guys, like, this is not worth the outrage. Honestly speaking, this is the kind of outrage I expect to be seeing when Vinicius, suffers the racial abuse. That's when we're supposed to be getting this kind of outrage, not over this, paltry amount of goals because, oh no, he scored in the final of the Champions League and, he knocked out Rodri's team. His team knocked out Rodri's team. But it's like, honestly speaking, guys, look, let's just at least accept the fact that Rodri is good enough considering the options on the table. All right? This hasn't been the best year in as far as, options for Ballon d'Or. It's been slim pickings, okay? Let's be honest. So let's at least just be happy that at least the other guy who got it was very much worthy of getting it as well. That's really all that this is about. But anyway, nonetheless, for now, I'm still just enjoying watching the Madridistas crashing out. And, allegedly there have been reports that Vinicius was planning a whole party. There was supposed to be a whole party. Nike was supposed to unveil some special Vinicius, Ballon d'Or boots. All of that, Rolexes were going to be bought for Real Madrid teammates. Like, no wonder these guys were coming out in support on social media. Anywho, it is what it is, guys. That's my thoughts on that. For now, I'm happy to see that, Barcelona won big with Lamine Yamal, with Aitana Bonmarti, with Barça Femeni. Barça Femeni completing the Ballon d'Or podium, kind of like Barcelona did with, the La Masia edition where we had Messi, we had Iniesta and Xavi. And this time around, of course, they couldn't have all three, academy products on the podium. We did have Parayuelo, who is, pretty phenomenal footballer. She's definitely a future Ballon d'Or for the women. But anyhow, that's basically that, guys. I don't really have that much more to say. It's still going to be like 6 more days or something like that between now and Barcelona's next match against Espanyol. So, I'll try and just hold myself over by enjoying these Madridista tears on the timeline, enjoying all of this whining about Ballon d'Ors, about offsides and high lines, and Barcelona got lucky. Yeah. But aside from all that, you let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're watching from YouTube, but also you can comment on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken. So, go ahead and do that as well. And we'll just have to really work on getting on Apple Podcasts, I guess. But aside from that, I thank you all. Have a great day. And Forza Barça.